Hi, in this video, I'm going to go over the positive and negative thoughts method. And this is found in chapter 5 of the Stress Management for Teachers book. And that's on page 62 if you want to follow along. And the main idea of the positive and negative thoughts method is that your mood is determined by the ratio of positive things you think during the day to negative things you think during the day. So in order to improve your mood, you increase your positive thinking and decrease your negative thinking. It sounds simple, but I'll talk about some specific strategies to do that. And the reason we talk about increasing positive thoughts and negative thoughts is because it's important to do both of them at the same time. It's kind of like planting a garden. You want to plant the seeds, and you also want to remove the weeds. If you just did one of those things, it wouldn't be as effective as if you did both together. And another thing with this is, like I talked about before, it's important to track your thoughts. So it's important to write them down, and that's an important first step to noticing if you're having more positive thoughts during the day, if you're having more negative thoughts during the day, and what those thoughts are like. So first, let's do an exercise. This is on page 77 in the book, and this lists a bunch of negative thoughts that we've heard from a lot of different teachers. And look at this list and see if there's any that jump out as ones that you yourself have had. I'm a terrible teacher. I can't do this. I'm losing control. No one ever supports me. If you have some of these thoughts, check them off. And then come up with a positive replacement thought. And by that I mean, come up with something that you might tell a friend if they were telling you that they had this thought. It doesn't need to be like the opposite, just making it a little less negative, a little more helpful and adaptive. So for example, I'm a terrible teacher, let's say that. Maybe a positive replacement for that is, I know I'm not doing my best right now, but I can try to turn things around this afternoon. See, it's not exactly trying to make it, I'm an awesome teacher, but it's trying to make it a little bit more helpful and more adaptive. If there's others on that list that you tend to have, pause the video right now and come up with a few positive replacement thoughts for those. All right, so now I'm going to talk about increasing your positive thoughts. If you want to increase your positive thoughts, you need to put in effort into things that you want to think more often. What are some positive things you want to reflect on more often? So one way to do this is to write down the answers to these questions. What inspired you to become a teacher? What do you like most about being a teacher? What are you grateful in your job as being a teacher? And what are your strengths as a teacher? Write down a few things for each of those questions. Those will help you connect with the positive things that you like about your position, and then that can be helpful to think about more regularly to increase your positive thinking. Another way to increase your positive thinking is to give yourself credit for small accomplishments. Every little bit counts. Oftentimes we only celebrate the big successes like graduations or birthdays or things like that. But it's the everyday small effort that really adds up to those big accomplishments. So writing down positive things that you accomplish on the day-to-day or making a note of the small successes can be a way to increase your positive thinking. Another thing to consider is the 3-to-1 ratio. You likely try to strive to have that ratio with students in your classroom with the number of praise statements to critical statements. But how often do you have that ratio with yourself? So improving your self-talk to be a little bit more positive can increase your positive thinking. Coping thoughts are another great way to increase your positive thinking. And these are thoughts that you can use in the moment when you're feeling stressed. And these can help you stay focused and stay in the moment to get done what you need to get done. And I have a long list of these. These are from teachers that have come up with these long list of things that can be helpful to think in the moment. See if there's any that you think might be good for you, or come up with a few of your own. It can be things like just saying a single word over and over, like relax, peace, breathe. Just reminding yourself to breathe. Some other coping thoughts are, I can get through this. This won't last forever. Or, I don't fight with 8-year-olds. See if there are any on this list that you think would be helpful for you in the moment, and maybe highlight them or write them down. So, in order to increase your positive thinking, like I said, you have to make an effort. And you have to make an effort to add these positive thoughts throughout your day. So writing down a list of positive thoughts that you want to have more often, maybe coping thoughts or connecting with things that you like about teaching, small things that you achieve on a daily basis. Write a list of all of those things and have that list with you. And then read that list. Read it a few times during the day. Set a specific goal. Do you want to read it in the morning before you get started, maybe in your plan period, maybe right before school, right before you leave home for the day? By reading it multiple times during the day, you're putting those thoughts into your brain and you're more likely to think those things more often. You can also use cues in your classroom to remind you to think in positive ways. For example, you could, every time you look at the clock, you can try to think something positive. Or having a sticky note with a little smiley face on your computer. Little reminders throughout your classroom, that'll help make it easier for you to remember to increase some of these positive thoughts. So decreasing negative thinking, like I said, that's important to do at the same time. One specific strategy for that is worry time. If you're someone who worries a lot, this could be a good one for you. And for this, the plan is to schedule a specific time during the day as your worry time. So write it in your schedule. You're going to have a worry time. And during your worry time, keep a timer. Set a timer for about 20 minutes. And then during that time, you can worry as much as you want. You can think about as many things that you need to worry about during that time. Once the timer is up, then go on with the rest of your day. Don't keep worrying. If you worry outside of that time, that's okay. Just write it down and you'll write that thought down and then come back to it during your worry time. Don't worry about it then. You're going to come back to it later. Write it down so you don't forget and worry about it during your worry time. The reason this can be helpful is because you're giving yourself permission to worry. You're taking control of it. And it can take some of the intensity of those worries away if you know that you're going to have a specific time that you're going to deal with them. So try it and try to do it every day or a couple times during the week, and then see if you end up needing all of your worry time. The more time you try it, you might find that you need less and less time for worry time, or you might not even need it at all. Another strategy for decreasing negative thinking is evaluating those negative thoughts with time projection and asking yourself some questions like, what will people remember about this in 5 years? What will people remember about this in 100 years? Or what's the worst thing that could happen? And how would I deal with it if it does happen? You may find that you have the strategies to deal with it even if something awful does happen. Or what's the best thing that could happen? Sometimes with negative thinking, we don't think about that good things could actually happen as well. So these questions can be helpful to look at the situation a little bit more realistically instead of having a sense of catastrophe in the moment. So it's really about evaluating some of those negative thoughts instead of just accepting them. Okay, to summarize the positive and negative thoughts method, monitoring is your first step, and key to that is writing them down. Then to increase your positive thinking, you can reflect on things that you want to think more often, reflecting on your inspiration, your strengths, what you're grateful for, and your small successes. And then having daily practice to remind yourself to have those positive thoughts more often is important as well. And having reminders in your classroom or at home, that'll help you to remind yourself to increase your positive thinking. Decrease your negative thinking. You can have worry time where you set a specific time of the day to worry and try not to worry outside of that time. Or you can ask yourself some questions about those negative thoughts and try to add a little bit more flexibility to them. So practice this week. If you can set a goal, like we talked about in the other video, that's great. A good goal might be to increase positive thinking and negative thinking, and try one of the strategies I mentioned for those. There also might be some other things in the book that you could try. A few minutes a day is really all it can take to see a difference. So give it a try, and it's more important to be consistent by doing a little bit each day than doing a lot at one period of time. Give it a try like an experiment. See if it works. If it does, great, keep doing it. If it doesn't work, well, then we can try something else. All right, that's it for this video. See you later.